Okay, so I'm just going to send this video to you to show you how. So I'm going to start from the beginning. Okay. Okay. Beginning. Okay, so this is now it's clean. Removed everything. So remember what I mentioned. Whenever you want to create this, the horizontal, you start with the segments. So because since the book of Mark is a bigger book, so you start to use all three of them. But if a small book, the sections become segments, and division still remain division. You don't use segments for smaller books. Okay, so for instance, the book of Mark, okay, the first segment start from here. So we say segment, okay, and then you're gonna write your title. So let's say the title is the gospel begins, okay? And then you remember to save on top here, okay? And then where does it end, okay? So let's say the first segment ends, okay? Let's say it ends of, it ends on chapter verse okay, here, okay, verse 13. So, which means the second segment is going to start here, okay? If it ends on verse 13, 14, which means the first segment is going to start on verse 15. So, we put there, okay, we write, okay, Jesus ministry, okay. And then we remember you save again, okay? And then you come here. It's like, okay, where does it start? It's going to start on chapter 2, okay? So the other one starts in chapter 2. So you put segment in chapter 2. It ends, the second segments will end on chapter 1, verse 45, which means the third segments will start on chapter 2. So I go to chapter 2. Okay, I write, okay, Jesus, let's say great size, or Jesus, let me just say Jesus opposition. Okay, so where does it end? You can say, so let's say it ends on chapter 3. Then, which means the next one I'll start on, next one I'll start on chapter 4. So I'll go on chapter 4. Okay, it will end the whole chapter 2 and 3 all are speaking the same stuff. So I can't separate them because they are speaking of the same thing. They are dealing with coming against Jesus, asking Jesus why why his disciples are doing this, why is touching that, why is doing this. The mother thinks that is crazy. So all that opposition, we put them together. Then I'll move that, okay, chapter 4, I want to put chapter 4 by itself. Okay, then I'll go to chapter 4 there. Okay, so there is chapter 4 down there. So I would say, what do I say? I would say parables. Parables of Jesus. Okay, where does the parables goes until where? Okay, the parables will go, you know, until end of 33, 34. Okay, then which means from chapter 35 is gonna start something different because it's beginning to show Jesus' power now. Okay, there it was parables, but now it's gonna show Jesus' power. So what do? I'm gonna put another segment on chapter 4. Okay, chapter 4, verse 35. Chapter 4, 35 to 441. Then I will put here. Okay, I'll say power over. Okay. Or just Jesus' power. Okay. So how far does Jesus' power goes? Okay. And then if it goes, I'm going to say, okay, from up to chapter 5, Jesus is still, showing his power, healing, then chapter 6, there's a change of the story. Okay, Jesus is sending people, disciples. So I'll say, okay, I'm gonna put this different. So I'll start here again. Okay, chapter 6, verse 1. Okay, I'll write. Then I'll put a title there. You can put any title you want. Okay. Okay, can you put title you want? Okay, and then from there, I will go and say, okay, where does it go? This story, okay, Jesus to stop, sending disciples, the 12, he pushes and he changes, he starts telling a story about John. This is, so he's talking about the same thing. Then probably I might go to the end of chapter 6, then I'll go to chapter 7. Chapter 7 is a different thing now. Jesus begins to, talk about how the law is being, they begin to disobey the law, and, how the Pharisees are really focusing on other stuff, and Jesus is, rebuking. So, then I'll start here. Okay, I'll put another segment there. Then here you have to put a title. Okay, find a title to put on this one. Okay, so I'm not gonna put a title, I'm just gonna put it. Okay, you put the title there. And then I goes, okay, where does it go? Okay, I'll say, from chapter 8, 8:20, 8:20, 8:27. Okay, there's a change there. Okay, remember we talked about where Jesus is telling his disciples not to tell anyone, but here now there's a change. Okay, the disciples didn't know who Jesus is. Now here they'll know you are Christ. So I'm gonna, okay, put here. Okay, and then I put another segment. Okay, and then where does this segment start goes? Probably I would say, okay, Jesus is teaching his disciples about this suffering, goes up to, maybe I'll say 10. Let me say 10. 10 is, you start by something else. Then we're gonna, okay, another segment, you put a segment name. Okay, and then you move on to, okay, I'll say another segment, maybe 10, it's gonna go 10 by itself, okay, and then I'll say 11, I'll put 11 by itself, okay. Let me put by M. Okay, and then I'll go, okay, 11, 11 and 11, 12, I'll put them together. Okay, 13 is gonna start something different because now Jesus is talking about something completely different. So I'll put 13 by itself. Okay, then let me use, I'll go by that. Okay, there I want you to put titles. What titles would you put? Okay, then I will go, it's like, okay, from chapter 13, 13, okay, 13, I'll put 13 by itself and then I'll go, okay, 14, Jesus begins to talk about something completely different. So I'll come and I'll put from chapter 14. Okay, I'll put title there. Okay, from there I'll go on and say, okay, chapter 14, 14 or 14 is gonna, chapter 14, I will say, okay, chapter 14, 14, all of 14 is by itself. I'll put 14 by itself, so another segment will come, we'll start from chapter 15. Okay. Maybe, okay, Jesus arrested. Jesus arrested. Jesus arrested. From there, okay, I'll say, 16. Okay, I'll say resurrection. Okay. So how many segments? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay. Now remember that we've done with segments. Okay. So where there are those just have put the letters, you can put titles that you think. And now we're gonna come back. It's okay. We're gonna start with sections. Okay. Now sections are much bigger. Okay. So we are looking at what are the things, segments that look closely together. So we wanna put those segments together. So for instance, we're gonna say okay, chapter 1, verse 1, the first section, okay, first section that looks together, okay, probably from chapter 1 and chapter 2 all look closely. Okay, so I'm gonna say preaching of good news. Okay. I'm just using that as an example. Okay. So where does it end? So I would say chapter 1 and chapter 2, they are all together. Chapter 1 and chapter 2, they are all together. So I would say, okay, chapter 1 and chapter 2, and so which means it will end. So the next section, I'm gonna start on chapter chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, okay, and chapter 4 and chapter 3 are all together. Chapter 4, okay, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and chapter 4, they're all together. So I will start the next section from chapter 5. Okay, so chapter 5, so here, okay, chapter 5, because chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3, and chapter 4, all is one. Okay, so I'll say the preaching and the position. Let's say the spread of the gospel and opposition. Okay, and then from chapter 5, I would say here, chapter 5, you see, so the segment has come, okay, chapter 5. So chapter 5, so I'll make sure that, okay, chapter 5 and chapter 6, okay, and can be together. Chapter 5, chapter 6, and chapter 7 can be together. Chapter 5, chapter 6, and chapter 7, they can be together. Okay, what can you put there? So you find what you can put there as a title. Okay, now from there, I'm gonna say, you know, if chapter 5, chapter 6, chapter 7 is together, which means let's say chapter 5 and chapter 6. Chapter 5 and 6 together. Chapter 5 and 6 are together. And which means chapter 7, I will start from chapter 7. Okay, chapter 7, okay, section, that's where the another section will start. Okay, so chapter 7 will go right to end of to the chapter 8, verse 26. Okay, so I will say the blind of Pharisees. Okay, the blind of Pharisees and disciples, because both of them, disciples also, they cannot see, they still don't get it. They don't see who Jesus is. So is the Pharisees. Okay, so hope you're able to follow. You'll be able to follow. And then from there, okay, I'm gonna say, say I said from chapter 1 to the end. So I'll come here. 8, 8:26. Okay, so I'll start the section now. We'll start from 8:27. That's the next section. So I'll write next section. So I'll say, okay, Jesus teaching about suffering. Okay, and then this, how many chapters is Jesus teaching about suffering? So from chapter 8 to verse 27, Jesus will talk to, is going to teach about, suffering until, okay, he's teaching of deny yourself, take up your cross, your kingdom of power, Jesus transfigured. It's still really, we can put that together. First, Elijah come, help, and believe, so Jesus is just teaching here. There's a lot of teaching. Instead, just Jesus teaching. There's a lot of teaching, um, and then we can go as far as, you know, Okay, up to, let's say, end of chapter 9, or chapter 10. Okay, so chapter 10 up to chapter 10. So chapter 11, let's put chapter 11 by itself. Let's end. So there will be another section will be from chapter 11. So chapter 11, there will be another, say there will be from chapter 11, it will be a different section. So, so you're gonna put another section there, okay? And then chapter 11 will definitely go to chapter 14. Chapter 13. 11 will go to chapter 13. So we'll put chapter 13, chapter 11, 12, and 13 together. 11, 12, 13 together in a section. Okay. So which means the next section will be chapter 14, okay, up to the end. Okay. We can say Jesus' death and resurrection. Okay. So we are done. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Now we're gonna do division. So we have a division already. Okay. Division already, which is chapter 1, verse 1. Okay. So we say, okay, Jesus hides identity. Okay. And then the next one, we're gonna say that the next one is gonna be from chapter, when does Jesus begins to reveal the identity? Okay. We're gonna say Jesus begins to reveal the identity on chapter 8, 27. Okay, 8, 27. 8, 27. Where is 8, 27? There's 8, 27. So that becomes our next division. Okay, Jesus reveals identity. Okay, so since you have the word already, you have the suffering of servant, and chapter 45 is the key verse. Okay, remember to save, wanna save. Okay, and then we're gonna go recreate. Okay, that's a recreating. Okay, so we're gonna come here in the corner far left, to check if our horizontal looks good or they need to change. Okay, for some reason it's not, horizontal is not showing. Okay, so here anyway. So I'll check if horizontal is fine. Then I'm gonna go, okay, download, download charts. Okay, so you can check if I don't know why it's not. In fact, if you are online, you can work here. Okay, you can put you can put your work here. Anyway, yeah, that's how it's done. Hope this will work. It will help you on this video a little bit. I'm gonna stop now. I think it's a very long video. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna again, I'm gonna leave it that way. Or what you're gonna do is you're gonna just fill in the blanks.